Hello everyone and welcome to Enlightened Conversations. My name is Raul and I am here joined today on Enlightened Conversations by the beautiful Marisa Di Lisio, and we are at her beautiful cafe, Bella Cosi, and the name of her book, Bella Cosi, A Taste of Life. Welcome Marisa.
Hi Raul, thank you for having me, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. In your little blurb that we were putting on Facebook to announce that we were going live on this program, on this show, we mentioned that your life with food and the idea of soulful food started when you were a little girl and you were in your mom's little kitchen and you were pretending to be this host having your own television show cooking. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my job in the kitchen was to wash the dishes. And so I used to pretend, we never had little iPads in those days. So I used to pretend I was washing the dishes and I was conducting my own cooking show. From about 7 years old, I'd pretend I was washing the dishes and talking to the people on the camera, saying, this is the pasta dishes, which was just dirty plates that I had in front of me. But I was pretending I was on this massive TV show and, talking about the food I was preparing for everybody and how many people I was going to feed. And yeah, it was just my passion from a very early age.
But isn't it lovely how sometimes we say to little kids, what would you like to do when you grow up?
Oh my goodness.
And there you
I get
have
goosebumps, even just thinking about it. I still remember those days and I actually get goosebumps because you know how they say, put out something into the universe and you dream? I am a living testimony. I know this sounds very crazy on one level, but I'm living proof. If you really believe in something, things do happen, and I'm living proof of that. I've always wanted to own my own business, have a cafe. I've always wanted to teach people to cook, and I'm not a fantastic chef by any means. It's just, as we say, soul food. It really is soul food, and I talk in the book also, and I'm sure we'll go into that it's very important that you cook your food in a good mood because it's all about energy. Life's all about energy, as you know, Raul,
Yes.
And you've got to be in a good mood because the food picks up the energy.
Yes.
It's so true. I mean, I could do a cooking class and I can teach 10 people to cook the same cake.
Yes.
And depending on their energy, that cake will taste different.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct. Because
so
I remember my late grandmother, she used to say, never cook when you're angry.
So true.
And when you cook, bring the love from you onto that food. And I remember when I was a little boy, getting up on a Sunday morning. Grandma was Spanish, but kind of like the border with Italy. And she learned to make pasta, and I learned to actually cut the ravioli with a little wheel.
Oh, yeah.
That was my job at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, my God.
And we'll be having pasta at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was, the long lunches.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
And I remember that idea that she always said, cook with soul. And when I became a man, she used to say to me, you're not going to be like your father, Raul, that doesn't know how to boil an egg. I will sit there with grandma and write the recipes.
That's fantastic.
And I think that somewhere along the line I lost that little notebook.
Oh,
but I remember, they're in here. And I remember that, and that's what I actually thought that it would be brilliant to bring you into the show. Because in Enlightened Conversations, it's not about being unicorns and rainbows, which although they are lovely and we believe in them and we believe in angels, but it's about bringing reality into what an enlightened conversation is. And in your case and in the case of your family, you bring that enlightenment through your food, and that's amazing. And people, I'm sorry that you don't have smell-o-vision or you cannot taste through the camera, but we got here beautiful croissants. As I mentioned before, Marisa has 3 beautiful sons named Vince, Anthony, and Christian. And who is the one that is a pastry chef?
Christian's a pastry chef.
Okay, Christian is a pastry chef. And Vince, that is sitting here with us, you cannot see, but he's there smiling away. Christian actually is a brilliant barista amongst many other things that he has done in his life. But if you are in Port Melbourne, and you are in the area, come in, they're straight across from the Spirit of Tasmania. Come have a coffee, have a pastry. Do like I do on a Saturday. They make beautiful donuts.
So. I was waiting for him to say that. He's actually confessing.
Yeah.
I actually get a text in the morning This is true. I have to check my phone on a Saturday or a Sunday because I know Raul's saying, please, as soon as I put it on Instagram, reserve 1 or 2 Nutella donuts for me. So he's fessing up, which is good.
That's it. The issue with the Nutella donuts is that they don't bake a lot. They only bake a limited amount. So if you don't put the order, they go. And I need to just get on a train and catch a tram and get all the way down here and have my donut. However, when I walk in, Vin says, a donut has your name on it, Raul is waiting for you. And I tend to have dessert, and then you suggest something that I need to have for lunch. So I do the other way around, but that's the Bella Cosi way.
It's okay.
Marisa, you brought up the 3 boys that they became men, yeah? Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful to see the men that they became because of you.
I'm very proud.
What was the secret?
The secret is, I think, we went through, obviously everybody has good times and bad times. Mm-hmm. I experienced a divorce. I had to go through a divorce, and the kids were young. I was 29 when I actually separated with my husband. Right. And the boys were young, 7, 5 and 2. So unfortunately, financially, my God rest his soul, my ex-husband didn't help us financially. Mm-hmm. So obviously I had to make ends meet. Yes. And thankfully, I loved cooking. We're going back to the soul food. I had a little part-time job, but at night, because I couldn't afford to take the kids to nannies or so on, I would cook biscuits in the kitchen at night, and the boys would help me dip the biscuits in the chocolate. Yes. This is a true story. Dip the biscuits in the chocolate, pack the biscuits. One would dip the biscuits, one would pack the biscuits, one would do the invoicing, and and I would go out and go to cafes and see if they wanted the biscuit orders. While I was at work during the day, they were at school. I'd come home, we'd eat dinner, then we'd make the biscuit orders for the next day, and this is how we did it. And thankfully, the boys understood, not necessarily the value of money. I mean, obviously, we need money to go forward, but to survive, and hard work. And they're good boys. I'm very proud of them. Very responsible boys, and they're my rocks. We've been through, good times and bad times, but the boys have understood that, again, food is really, and now I'm sounding very old-fashioned, it's what brings us together, it's love. And when people say, people are passionate about food, you have to have the passion. And a lot of people come up to me also and they say, Marisa, how did you open up this cafe? And so, how did you do it? Obviously, I've always wanted to open up a cafe, and it's my passion. Yes, it is about paying the bills, and we all live in a normality. We can't live in the clouds all the time, even though it would be nice to. But reality, we have to pay our bills. And I know this sounds very cliche. It's not so much about the money coming into the shop. For me, and I'm getting goosebumps again, it's actually seeing the satisfaction of the people that come through the shop. And they actually say to me all the time, Raul, and to the boys, they say, we can feel the love and the energy in the food and in the energy in the shop. And that, to me, is the most satisfying thing. And I actually get emotional because it's the truth. Yeah. They actually get satisfied because they feel the love, and it's a love. And it's not cliche. When people do say, people can say, I'm passionate about this, but true passion, not thinking of the monetary value. You have to really, from here, give the love. And that's where I think, I've experienced it firsthand.
Again, I'm going back to my late grandmother, which I adore because she taught me how to read.
The spirit must be around.
Yeah, she is. But she used to say to me, Raul, never pursue money, because if you do that, it will run away from you as fast as you are pursuing it.
So true.
The idea is to do whatever you do, as you were describing, just Marisa, out of love, because as I usually say to people out there, what goes around comes around. So and you might as well send love. And it's the love that Christian puts into into making the pastries, into making those cakes. It's the love that Vince puts into creating those amazing coffees. And it's not just the coffee, it's the conversation. Even Anthony helping in the kitchen, and we were watching the other day, the two of them in the kitchen together, and they don't even talk, they just know what they need to do. Yeah. And the two of you at the front, and it's wonderful to see that family synergy that comes from truly understanding from a young age for the boys what mom has actually done for them. and now what they do for themselves.
Yeah.
Because they could be working anywhere else, and they're working here.
We get a lot of people coming to the shop, and a surprise, we've been together in the shop now for 7 years, thank goodness. And
From 2011,
From
yes.
2011.
Yes.
The first of the 11th, 2011. So
Wow.
the 111s.
Correct, there you have it.
If that's not confirmation.
Yeah.
But people are surprised. They say, oh my goodness, how can you work with your kids? And we live together too, and we go on holidays together. And unfortunately, in this society, a lot of that's lost. Not lost. A lot of people don't experience that old-fashioned family unit. It's a shame, really. I'm very blessed.
I was having a look at a picture that you posted the other day on Instagram and on Facebook of Vince and you are function. And I just thought, what a lovely picture it was, because it was truly Vince being there. In any other case, people will say, oh, mama's boy. And I thought, no, it's a man standing next to his mother.
He's my rock.
And it was that idea that, my God.
You're making me emotional now.
No, but it's beautiful, because to have a son that actually understands who he is, but still can stand as a man next to his mother. You don't see that, because you actually see the ones that don't want to know the mother, or the ones that are a mama's boy that are holding onto the skirt.
Yes, I see what you mean. I know.
And Vince wasn't showing that. It was just standing in his own light, but supporting you there.
No, he's a good.
So
I'm very proud, and they've been through a lot. So I'm very blessed to have them. They're my rocks, all three of them.
They've been through a lot, but so does everybody else.
Exactly.
And I guess that we're here talking today because the issue of this enlightened conversation is to be able to say to people, if a single mother with 3 boys can achieve what you have achieved, including this beautiful book that we'll talk about it in a second, there's hope for everybody else.
I'm standing proof of that. I'm living proof of that. And you know what it is also? I've always liked, they say to dream. You do dream. I mean, obviously all our wishes don't come true, but I've always dreamt big. And thankfully, I've had a lot of faith too. I mean, we all have our bad days and our good days. We're all human. But I've actually always put out there, if it's meant to be, it will come to me. But you have to not sit and wait for it. It's like the people say, we want to wait for Tatslotto, but you have to play Tatslotto, so to speak. I know it sounds really silly.
You have to be in it to win it.
No, but you have to truly want it. And again, going back to the monetary value, for the right reasons.
Yes.
Being passionate.
Yes.
And I find that you have to really, really believe, and you also, they say the secret, you visualize it. I used to visualize it. I used to visualize the cafe near the sea. Look at this, I've actually got a photo of myself. It's on the wall, you can't see it unfortunately. It's myself, and I'm going to really get emotional, and I tell a lot of people.
Go for it.
When I actually signed the lease on the cafe, the day I signed the lease, and there was a little bit of, turbulence about, do I do it, do I not do it? Being a single mother, I think, oh my goodness, you do get scared, and it's huge responsibility. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to die regretting.
Correct.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't work,
well,
it's
you
not
did
meant
it.
to be. And I've tried.
You gave it a try.
The day I signed the lease, I went home. Actually, it's in my book. The day I signed the lease, my son Vince. This is why.
Come, Vince.
Come on, this is my son Vince.
Yeah.
Let's introduce.
Vince.
The day I signed the lease, I actually had, those old little photos of 60s, show my age now, in the 60s, those little small photos. I went home and I've got a little drawer I put my keys in, and this photo fell out, and I don't even remember this photo.
It was a message, eh?
Oh my goodness, and this photo is of me. I don't know if you can see that. Oopsie.
Let me just bring it closer to the camera while you talk. There.
That's a photo of me across the road in Port Melbourne, where I am at the shop. My mum's in the background.
Okay.
My mum and dad arrived from Italy in the 50s, and they used to always bring us to Port Melbourne saying, this is where we arrived. So a little story, this is where we arrived, the ship and so forth. So thankfully, my dad took the photo of me, and look at that. All these years later, I am, where the photo was taken, across the road, I've got the shop.
Yes.
So everything happens.
But also it happens because you are sending the right energy out. And Marisa, that people actually talk about manifestation, yes?
Yes.
And sometimes people think, oh, well, if I if I pray, if I do all of this, it's going to manifest. But I usually say manifestation is all about that. It's all about the energy. It's all about the prayer. It's all about the connection with the angels. But it's all about you taking necessary steps to manifest. And I'm going to latch into to a story that happened to me in the year 2000, where I've always wanted to go to Paris. And I thought, okay, how am I going to get to Paris? And that year, January, the Eiffel Tower created a competition that you needed to answer 20 questions in one go correctly about the Eiffel Tower, and you will get 2 tickets to actually get up there on the Eiffel Tower. The catch was they will then send them to you. You needed to go to Paris and pick them up at the box office.
Okay.
I studied everything about the Eiffel Tower, went in, and in 20 minutes I got all the questions correct, and I won the tickets.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought, okay, how am I going to get there? I don't know. Never mind, I will get there. I got a year. You needed to be there throughout the year 2000. You do things for the right reason, as you were saying. And I was at the time teaching at Victoria University, and my students and my peers nominated me at the time for the Vice Chancellor's Award for Teaching Excellence. And I thought, yeah, right, me. I've been a year and a half in this university. People have been working here for 20 years, and they're going to give it to me, whatever. Long story short, lo and behold, one day the Vice Chancellor called me, telling me, oh, Raul, do you remember that you were nominated for this? And the council met, and they decided that there was a clear runaway winner. And I was just listening to the man thinking, he's going to say thanks, but you know what, somebody else got it. And I was all okay with that. And suddenly he said that the runaway winner was you. Oh, the council just thought that you were the best. And I just thought, God, I didn't know at the time that for being a finalist, you get like the Olympics, a silver medal, which I was showing that yesterday to a friend of mine, to Laura. And then for the winner, you get a gold medal. And we had an Olympian presenting those to me.
How beautiful is that? What an honor.
It was beautiful, and my niece flew from Sydney to be there, and my Melbourne University lecturer, she said, you are my biggest success story of my career. Yeah. But by the same token, I remember somebody saying to me, what are you going to do with the money? Because it was attached to 2 big checks. And I said to them, well, I'm off to Paris.
Oh, look at that.
And I spent a month in Paris.
And you went to pick up your tickets? I
went to pick up the tickets. I had lunch at the Eiffel Tower, where you actually go on an elevator that has a Chesterfield couch. The chef was waiting for us at the top to take us to the table, to tell us what menu he prepared for us, not for the whole restaurant, just for us.
Wow.
I did a pastry cooking class, which was truly indulgence. I don't even remember what I learned. But I did it at the Ritz in Paris.
Wow. How fantastic is that?
People were saying, oh, you're going to buy a home. What are you going to do? Nah, Paris. I will never forget it. And my soul will carry that gift.
Oh, for sure. That's
nothing else will actually compare. But I also remember when I delivered the speech on that very night, it was in August, at Victoria University City Campus, and I was in front of this amount of people, that I had people in tears, and it wasn't my intention, but I remember starting the speech by saying, not bad for a housekeeper, because my first job ever was in a hotel, I grant you, 5-star, cleaning toilets and vacuuming carpets.
Humble beginnings.
And I became the biggest toast of the town in academia. So from cleaning toilets to becoming a top academic, but also I never believed my own tale. Today I can go and show you how to clean a toilet. And
that's amazing.
And it's that idea of sending it out of love.
And humbleness too.
Many people were wishing to be the winners of that award. They were wishing to be nominated for that. I only did my job. I wasn't after an award. And when you do your job with passion, like what you do here on a daily basis, people actually repay you in 1,000-fold. Exactly. And I remember when we were here with Laura and Liana last Saturday, that you said you need to try this cake that Christian made. It's amazing. And you said, but I need to sit there and watch you.
To me, that's like winning $1 million to me. Honestly, the satisfaction. I literally did sit at the end of this table, and just the smile of satisfaction on all 3 of your faces. It was priceless.
And we couldn't finish it because I still remember Grandma saying, Raul, the little kids in Africa, that they cannot eat. You need to eat everything on your plate. And I thought,
but
we had the donut, we had the...
I was going to say, you got to tell them, Raul, you had the donut first.
Donut, coffee, chicken parmesan, the works. We did the whole thing. I didn't eat that night. But it's that idea of sending things that you do with love.
It's so true.
But also, yeah.
But I'm not expecting something back. That's very important too.
Correct.
Yeah, I know this is probably a little bit off kilter, but similar understanding or essence. I remember my mother was very religious, God rest her soul, and my mother used to always say, "Ask in prayer, and you will receive." And it's so true. Sometimes it doesn't happen the next day. Sometimes it happens a month away. I never forget when I was having this conversation with a girlfriend the other day, and when I had separated with my husband, and unfortunately, he didn't pay his child support, as you know, things.
Many mothers probably relate to that story.
So I was working. Thankfully, I had a part-time job. So I was working in an office as a receptionist, and it was Christmas time. This is the first year after I divorced. We're going through legal proceedings and so forth. And I never forget. It was Christmas, 23rd of December. And the night before, I prayed so hard to Archangel Michael. Mm-hmm. His ears must be burning off by now. And Our Lady Madonna. I prayed to them both so much that all I wanted, and this is what I prayed for, and I'll never forget this, I prayed to give my mum and my dad that were alive at the time, and my 3 sons, a lovely Christmas lunch. Beautiful. So it was all about food.
Yes.
And I really couldn't afford much because we'd be going through the courts and lawyers and so forth. And I cried myself to sleep that night. The next day, which was the 23rd of December, this is true, Raul, and I'm getting emotional even saying it, I went to work at reception. And it's Christmas time, a lot of the executives get presents from, big companies. I was working at BHP at the time, so the big clients were sending in presents and so forth. And I'm getting goosebumps because, this is a true story. There was this big box delivered to reception, and it was addressed to a certain manager. So I rang him up and I said, look, there's a box at reception for you. So he comes upstairs to the 27th floor, and he opens a box, and it was a 10-kilo frozen turkey. He goes, Marisa, I'm a single man. He goes, this is true, Raul, I'll never forget this. He goes, I'm a single man. He goes, what am I going to do with a 10-kilo turkey? He goes, I'm going to Broken Hill to visit my mother tonight. I'm going to catch a plane. He goes, do me a favour, take it home and cook it for your kids.
Oh.
Raul, and me being very proud, typical Italian proud,
yeah.
I did want to accept it. He goes, one day, buy me a bottle of something to drink.
Lovely.
So I accepted it. I actually went to the toilet and I knelt down in the bath. This is a true story. I knelt down in the cubicle and I started crying, and I thanked Our Lady and Archangel Michael. And that's true. When I went back to reception, I composed myself. We got an email that we all received a $1,000 bonus before lunch. That is a true story, and I'm getting emotional. I will never forget that to the day I die. And again, all I wanted, and it's true, I'm getting emotional now, all I wanted was for my sons and my mum and dad to have a nice Christmas lunch. And
it happened.
It happened.
But can you see the synchronicity? And sometimes when we talk about angels and we talk about connecting with Source and connecting with the Creator, but you also need to be doing your part.
Of course.
Because if you were a horrible receptionist, yes, that man wouldn't have given you the turkey.
Sure.
Yes? He would have said, okay, thank you, and I'll go and give it to somebody else. But because you were warm-hearted, you were doing your job to the best of your abilities, he thought, what am I going to do with it? Might as well. I know you've got kids, you've got a family, and it snowballs from there. And what I usually say to people is, you never know who you meet in life. Be kind to everybody.
Exactly. I've always taught my boys this, and Vince can hear me, he's smiling in the background. I always said to my 3 sons, hopefully I've taught them more than 2 things, but 2 things in particular, 2 important things. Never judge anybody. Always look in your plate, because you don't know the circumstances of other people, and you don't know what tomorrow brings.
No.
And another thing I've always said to them also is treat the toilet cleaner or the cleaner like the executive or the CEO, because they're all humans. Yes. Everybody has their own path to walk in life and respect everybody. And one day when I'm not here anymore, the boys, I actually hear the boys, and I smile when I hear them they say to customers sometimes in the shop, I remember my mother used to teach me, always respect the toilet cleaner or the cleaner, like the manager or the CEO.
Yes.
And you know, it's true. Because we're all humans. We've all got our own little special light inside us. And, you know, we're all got a path to carry, or path to cross.
Not long ago, probably about a month ago, I was at the Qantas Airline Lounge at Domestic Airport in Melbourne. And there was this lady. And, you know, I was flying at a time in the morning that everybody goes to Sydney for business and then they're going to come back, and you see them with briefcases and iPhones and iPads, feeling really important because there they are at the Qantas Lounge and they made it, yeah? And I thought, if only you knew. And this lady is going around picking up the dirty cups, but with a smile on her face and saying, may I? And taking it away and smiling to people and saying thank you. She was saying thank you to them.
That's beautiful.
And some people not even paying attention, not acknowledging. And she came and took my cup and I said, well, thank you so much, but let me tell you, you're doing an amazing job.
Nice.
I can see you smiling to everybody, even to the people that they're not even paying attention.
Yeah.
And she said, you know what? It took me such a long time to get this job that now that I have
She's grateful. So
not only grateful, she loved it.
that's beautiful.
She was where she needed to be at that point in time. And to another person, or perhaps to the young generation coming up,
Like
that they actually say, I got a university degree and I should be the manager. And I used to say to people, well, you know what? I got not one of those, I got 4 of those. And can I still clean my own toilet? I can still make my bed. And if push comes to shove, and if I end up with nothing, I can still go and clean a toilet and get paid for it.
It's funny you say that, because also with the cafe industry, obviously we have to employ waiters and waitresses. I actually tell them to bring their resumes through to me, but I only look at that at a glance.
Yeah.
For me, it's not the experience, it's the attitude. Because especially in the hospitality industry, and you're more aware of it than I am because you've had more experience, people just want acceptance.
Yes.
They want to be acknowledged.
Yes.
And, you know, it doesn't cost anything to smile. You know, it's a contagious thing. I remember, now I'm going back now. We're going back now. This is bringing up a lot of memories. I used to teach religion,
Yes.
RI, many years ago, grade 5 and 6s. And there was this little boy. He used to call me Sister Marisa. Obviously, I wasn't a nun. He used to come in every Friday. I'll never forget this. He used to call me, good morning, Sister Marisa. And I said, hello. I can't remember his name. He'd always have a black eye. He'd have his arm in a sling. And one day I pulled him aside. I was there just to teach him how to say the Our Father, say the Rosary and so forth. One day I pulled him aside. I said, I can't remember his name. I said to him, I have to know, why do you come to school, to class
But
every week,
bruised.
always bruised? He goes, because they pick on me and I fight and I hit them back.
Okay.
I said, can you promise me, do this for 1 week and then come back to me and tell me what the responses are? He goes, tell me, Sister Marisa, tell me. Sister Marisa, of all people. And I said to him, the next time someone picks on you, don't retaliate, just smile. Just smile, don't say anything, and just smile. You see how they change. A week went past, and I was wondering how he would. He came into class, Sister Marisa, no bruises. Because it worked. He goes, oh my goodness, it actually worked. He goes, you know what? They were shocked. They didn't know what to say. I said, you know what? You just smile, and that actually diffuses things. And he goes, oh my goodness. He goes, and this, I'm talking about a 10-year-old little boy. It wasn't, high school. Or actually, he wasn't even 10, probably was younger than that. And I said, see, what a smile can do. A smile is infectious. But you've got to genuinely show your love from the smile.
But isn't that beautiful, Marisa, that we can actually instill in the young people, in the young generation coming up in what I call our little rainbow warriors, to be able to diffuse a situation through a smile.
Yes.
And we still have the leaders of today leading us, yes, worldwide. They smile and you can tell that it's fake.
Of course, yes.
And they go and smile or hold babies and kiss babies when they need a boat, and then you don't see that being happening again.
So true.
And the issue is, do it all the time, but do it actually from the heart, not because you're trying to get the parents' vote.
Exactly.
And also, you were saying to the boy, don't retaliate. And what are we looking at in the world? We're looking at retaliation constantly, loggerheads, war. However, don't want to go politics because it's not the theme of the show, but if we look at the young people in North America, where they're rising up and they're saying, enough is enough. Yeah. Listen to us. That young girl that delivered a speech saying, I call BS to all of this, that is happening. And I just thought, my goodness, look at her. She was 14, I think.
That's amazing.
But she's retaliating with words, with sentiments, with the way that they feel inside. And that's what we need to acknowledge. If we are going to change the world that we live in for generations to come, we need to accept those young people as wise old souls coming in now and showing us a new pathway.
I hope it happens because, especially, I mean, I know the internet, obviously.
Yes.
Facebook, there's a positive and a negative side to everything, unfortunately.
But it's like when we talk about, you know, that the word that gets bashed around by people, and I tend to like it, ego, yes? Because they keep on saying ego, and I usually say, okay, it's probably the negative side of the ego. Because if we look at the positive side of ego, we look at what makes us unique, our personality. The positive side of ego is our communication between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, what it allows us to connect to our angels. So we need to embrace that part of the ego, rather than embracing, okay, we're on Facebook now, but we're trying to share our experiences with people. It's not the look at me, and
no.
It's about giving something in return and sending the love through the camera, through what you did with the cafe and your children, which they became men. And you saw that progression. Not many people are privy to such a progression with 3 boys particularly.
Yeah, a lot of people are astounded.
I'm astounded that particularly boys, that they are so hard to actually push in the right direction. But what it actually says about the men that they became is that they had it within them. Yeah. Yes? Sure, mom has to educate and show the way and become an example, but also within themselves.
Yes, and I was very, very blessed to have good parents too. And it is that seed, you know.
But isn't what we always say that before we, for those of you that probably believe in reincarnation, that we choose our parents?
I totally believe that. Yeah.
And there you have it. Vince, Christian, and Anthony chose their parents, although that for a different set of circumstances was not present. But if it wasn't for that dad, you wouldn't have the 3 boys. Exactly. So I look at it, and I don't know the full story, but I look at it from the point of view, what a gift that man gave you.
It's funny you say that, and although we went through a divorce, I never wished him bad.
No.
And I rang him up one day, because unfortunately through divorce you don't talk or whatever, and I said to him, thank you, and I thanked him. I know it sounds crazy. I actually thanked him for the experience, because if it wasn't for him not paying me child support, I wouldn't have started making biscuits to pay the bills and to feed my children.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have this cafe.
Isn't that amazing?
And that's the honest truth.
Yeah.
And the phone went quiet when I said thank you. He didn't know how to respond. But I genuinely meant it.
Yes.
Because if it wasn't for us going through the circumstances that we went through, and it wasn't easy, as people that go through those situations can understand, but out of a negative,
so many positives.
Look at the positives, and we have touched a lot of people. I don't know if you can see in the background, there's a few words of wisdoms on my wall. I like quotes, just make people think when they're sitting down having a coffee. And
we got one just there above us that says, if I allow it, I'll touch it.
Yeah, it's just things like, and like we're saying ego before, I've got another one on the wall that said, ego is not your amigo. So just little things like, so out of a negative, there's always a positive. And as I say, it doesn't get dark. My mother used to say it in Italian. I won't say it in Italian, but it doesn't get any darker than midnight, and then the sun comes out.
Yes, correct. Correct.
And Vince Vince said to me the other day, and he said, Mum, before the same thing, it gets pitch black and then the sun starts to come out. Similar way. He said it more in a nice, sweeter way, but
It's darkness before the dawn.
there we go.
Yeah.
See, very poetic, my son.
And you know what, Vince? I had an experience in my life not long ago, Marisa, 2014 in the Maldives, where my life was actually, and the life of many others, expats, were under threat, and we ended up fleeing the island. And we ended up in an island in the middle of nowhere in the Indian Ocean, under a shack. And I got to experience, you know those pictures that you see of the algae glistening like stars in the water?
Wow.
And it was pitch black, and you could actually see that.
Wow.
And at that point I thought, oh my God, I was feeling sorry for myself.
Of course.
And suddenly look at the gift, and as we live through that night, you start seeing the sun rise again. And you start realizing, sure, it was truly, and pardon the expression, a shitty situation to be in. However, I wouldn't have experienced that because usually by that time I would have been in bed and I wouldn't have seen it. And I would have experienced what it was to see the new dawn and the message that new dawn brought to me saying, you know what, things are going to get better and you're going to come out of this a different person, and I did.
I'm sure you did. Wow.
Listen, let's talk about the book.
We're talking a bit too much.
No. Talking is good. But let's go to the book now.
Okay.
Because this was a few years in the making, yes?
A few years in the making. Over 15 years, I've kept on putting it down and picking it up again, typing, putting it down again. It's all timing. It is all timing.
And we were talking about angels, and Marisa, the first time that she showed me the book, she said, look who I put here. And let me just show you. Let me see, because it shines a bit. Archangel Michael.
He had to get a mention. He had to do a cameo.
A cameo of Archangel Michael there on the book. But what I like about the book, Marisa, is that, and sorry, here are the boys. Let's just show
My handsome sons.
people, the young men that they became. Christian, Vince, and Anthony there with Marisa. What I liked about the book is that as an educator, I look at, does it grab my attention? Will it get me to open and to turn the page and to see simple recipes that I can achieve? No Marisa, no Christian in the kitchen. And the recipes are clear and you got lovely pictures there. Maybe you won't be able to achieve that one as good as the picture is, but
No, it's pretty basic recipes.
no, pretty basic recipes, but recipes that people can actually do at home.
Something easy to follow. Nothing with too many ingredients, but still have a nice, tasty.
But
tasty
sometimes
outcome.
you look at cookbooks and you think, oh my God, all the steps and do this and do that. And here you demystify that by making it really simple. The ingredients are there and very simple to follow steps. So tell us about the experience of writing this.
The experience, I also, another many hats that I like to have done over the years, I've also done cooking classes at CAE, so Council of Adult Education in the city. So to earn a little bit of extra money, but also because of a passion too, so it was a bit of a double-edged thing there. Sometimes after work I would be asked to go and do some cooking classes at a Council of Adult Education in the city. And over the years, I saw and I tapped into what people wanted out of the class. And I'm, by any means, I'm not a fantastic cook. And I'm not saying it, I really mean that I'm not a Michelin chef. It's just real, simple, old-fashioned food. That's all it is. It's nothing, you're not going to get a little pea and a little, bit of asparagus there. It's just real simple food, and that's what people can relate to. It's just simple, we say casalinga or home-style cooking. It's all it is, basic cooking with not many ingredients and easy to follow. I found over the years, and I love cookbooks. Unfortunately, I've got cupboards of cookbooks. A lot of the cookbooks I've found, I buy them because the pictures, and I have to buy a cookbook with a picture as I can't buy a cookbook. It has to have a nice picture. Not too many ingredients, because I've bought cookbooks and behind me you probably can see them on the walls that I've never used because the recipes, there's too many ingredients, and I'd like to buy, and I wanted to create recipes that you didn't have to have, if you didn't have cheese, for example, in the pantry, if you didn't have onions in the pantry, you wanted to make a sauce, you didn't have to put it in. I've got that in my recipe. In the recipes, like if you don't have this, don't use it. It's still going to come out the same.
Yes.
So, and you improvise, and that's really how it is sometimes. I mean, I know I used to come home from work sometimes thinking, I'm going to make schnitzels. And then I'd go home and I've got no breadcrumbs. So what I would do, I'd just put the toast in the toaster. This is true. Toast it, because I've been a single mother with 3 little hungry boys.
Yeah.
I put the toast in the toaster, toast up the toast, grate the toast, and I've got breadcrumbs, and bam, I'll make a schnitzel.
There you have it.
It's just improvising, and that's through experience.
But it's what we call sometimes in education thinking on your feet.
Yes, and thinking
Because
laterally, not...
Teachers sometimes
That's
they got a session plan that they think that they have to follow religiously, and I usually said, you know what, follow your class, follow your students, see what they need and go with that.
Yes, yes.
Don't think that you need to follow that session plan, that recipe, and that's what you're saying. Well, okay, I don't have breadcrumbs, but what do I do? You thought, okay, well, if I toast the bread and then I just shred it, I'm going to end up with breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
So,
and then people would say, oh my God, Marisa, no word of a lie, is that how you make breadcrumbs? Because some people have never done that before.
correct.
But it's amazing, back to basics. Back to basics, literally.
When I had the chance to visit Rome twice, and I stayed in hotels, and you know, the hospitality business, the world is really small, it's like a handkerchief. Yes. And I knew the concierge at the hotel that I was staying at, and I said, okay, where do I go for dinner tonight? And he said, okay, none of these restaurants around here because they're all for the tourists.
Yes.
He will send me to little mama's house,
yeah.
little mama's house, yes, that only a few people knew.
I can imagine.
And that's when you actually taste what happens here,
yes.
what you do here.
Yeah.
It's not the Michelin star, and you know what, particularly for us in the hospitality industry, we're already used to that, we're already seen it, we already experience, and it doesn't really impress you anymore. And I'm not saying this in a flippant way,
No,
it's because we work in that area that you've seen it. You want to see something like what my grandmother used to do. And the smell takes you back. And I remember walking into that place, and immediately I thought, it's like grandma's here.
It's beautiful. I remember also, you're bringing a smile to my face. The first week we opened at the shop, this is 7 years ago, it was summertime. And we organised fresh chicken schnitzels. We made chicken pump. My son's laughing in the background, I can see.
He remembers like it was yesterday.
I won't be too elaborate, but I'll actually, why not? We're real here on this show.
Yeah.
He's already going red in the background.
He's going away.
I never forget this young boy, 18 years old, ordered chicken parmigiano. And I brought it out to him, and one of the waitresses said, oh, Marisa, the gentleman wants you outside on the table. He was eating outside because it was summer.
Yeah.
And she said, something's wrong with the schnitzel. I was horrified.
Mm-hmm.
The first week we opened, I said, oh my goodness, what's wrong? They're fresh. I got them delivered from the butcher in the morning. I make my own schnitzels. I went outside, he goes, excuse me, senora. He goes, there's something wrong with my chicken. I said, I'm sorry, but I actually crumbed them fresh this morning. And he goes, it's not a love heart shape. I said, sweetheart, my breasts are real. And then I thought I had to be careful how I say that. Vince goes, Mum.
My breasts are real.
The poor sweetheart, he was used to, those fabricated love hearts.
Oh, that you see them on the
Not that I've ever,
supermarket.
The supermarket. I said, no, these are freshly made. And it's a true story. Because we're so conditioned. A lot of people conditioned, like you're seeing, the nuggets and so forth. But I said, no, these are real chicken schnitzels the old way. And my mum used to make them when I was young.
The love hearts,
I don't know how
it's
they
not
do
a chicken breast, is it? It's probably minced or
it's
something.
It's probably a mince, and they fabricate into a love heart shape. But that's a true story.
No, but I see, and I laugh because I see those at the supermarket, and I think, I don't want to eat that.
No.
It's not Valentine's Day.
No. So my son is horrified when I retell this story, but it's a true story.
No, but it's to be able to show that sometimes soul food, it's all about cooking like at home.
And it's nostalgic too.
Yes.
Notice how some taste buds, like you said, brings you back to your grandmother when you used to make the pasta.
Yes.
It's like when you listen to a song, it takes you back somewhere.
Yes.
Similar scenario.
The smells.
Yes.
The smells take you back because that's what I remember. The cooking, the soup being made, and you just. That's what it takes you back, and that's what it touches your soul, and that's what we're talking about here of Yeah, somebody saying that, Tammy, comfort food. Yes.
Definitely. Comfort food. Perfect.
It's that idea of, because sometimes we associate, Tammy, comfort food with something naughty, and it doesn't have to be naughty to be comfort. It's
True.
that idea that somebody that loved you made it for you. And I remember going to grandma, to my grandma's place, and I would say to grandma, I saw this in the magazine, like New Idea or something, and I would say, could you make me that? And she would say, sure, not a problem. She didn't even look at the recipe, and she will make it look like the picture. And we got the tagliatelle carbonara. Beautiful, beautiful recipe and beautiful food. And as you can see, that the recipe is so simple to follow. Marisa, if people want to get their hands on the book, on the Bella Cosi Taste of Life book, where do they get it?
They can, at the moment, you can actually either come to the shop, 71 Beach Street, Port Melbourne, and we sell them at the shop. They also, I have got a few copies still at the moment in readings in Carlton.
Okay.
And on the website, if you email me through the website's bellacosi.net.au.
Okay.
Or on Facebook, I can send you out a copy also.
Perfect. Check out Bella Cosi on Facebook, BELLACOSI, Bella Cosi, and bellacosi.net.au. Yeah, and you can get in touch with Marisa. You can talk to Marisa. If you are overseas and you're watching this program, you can still order the beautiful book, and Marisa will actually send it to you. And you can actually get to experience a little taste of Bella Cosi Port Melbourne. But if you are, or if you live in Australia and you're in Melbourne, do yourself a favor and truly come and have a chat with Marisa, come and have a chat with the boys. They're really warm, they're warm-hearted, beautiful souls. They will look after you really well. If you want a Nutella on a Saturday, send Marisa a message and she will put it aside. Marisa, to finish off, what will be the message that you will give to people that perhaps are a little bit afraid about cooking?
Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be. Just follow your instinct. A lot of people say, to me, "Oh, Marisa, I'm scared to do this and I'm scared to do that." I actually taught myself. I honestly did teach myself to cook. My mother was a great cook, but we weren't allowed to be in the kitchen cooking. I actually smelt the food, imagined the food in my head, and I know it sounds very simplistic, but just experiment and just taste.
Yes.
Just taste as you go. And just be impulsive. And again, I know it sounds very cliche, just follow your passion.
And remember to connect with Source, with God, with Goddess, with Spirit, with your angels, as you are actually gathering the ingredients and then as you start the cooking process, because that's what's going to bring the beautiful food to that plate and to the table when you're actually cooking for family. So remember, Bella Cosi, Port Melbourne, and I'm just going to show you that we have, and we're going to be enjoying immediately after the show, beautiful croissants with Nutella and some fresh brewed coffee that Vince made for us. Marisa, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you so much.
Thank you, Raul.
For being a part of Enlightened Conversations, but bringing that alignment through your passion through food.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. And I hope to see you one day or hear from you very soon. And I have to say before we go,
please.
Raul is very humble. Look at this lovely, lovely painting that Raul, hopefully you probably can, this beautiful picture, this painting that I got as a gift from Raul.
Because Marisa's Cafe is actually across from the water here in Port Melbourne, so I thought that I would paint something for Marisa and the boys.
Absolutely.
To have us a little memento, because I'm not going to be coming all that often to Bella Cosi anymore, because on the 6th of June I'm actually moving to Sydney. However, whenever in Melbourne, I will make certain that I'll pay them a visit here.
And I'll make certain that Nutella is put aside for you too. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
it was
Marisa.
An honor. Thank you so much.
Don't forget, Bella Cosi Taste of Life book is available through Marisa's website, so bellacosi.net.au, or simply follow them on Facebook and Instagram as well, Bella Cosi. You're going to find them there. And I'll leave you, as I always say, before I leave you, actually, I would like to take this opportunity to thank my sponsors, Lightworker Foundation, and White Light Publishing House for making this show possible, for allowing Marisa and I to talk about food and to enjoy the conversation, and hopefully you get a lot out of this conversation with Marisa today. So as I always say, please remember, believe in angels because they do believe in you. Until I see you next time, thank you so much and many blessings and much love. Bye for now.
Thank you.